Snow fell heavily over the city that night. The cold wind cut through everything, even thick jackets. Elena Rossi pulled her old coat tighter around her body as she walked out of the hospital. Her feet hurt. Her back hurt. After 16 hours of work, all she wanted was sleep. Elena was a nurse. She worked hard, cared for patients, and gave everything she had. But life had not been kind to her. She was a beautiful woman, but she had soft curves that people loved to judge. At work, some nurses whispered behind her back. She would look pretty if she lost weight. She hides herself in those ugly clothes. Elena heard them. She always heard them. That was why she wore oversized sweaters and loose clothes. They helped her disappear. But the words that hurt the most came from Daniel, her ex-boyfriend. Just 2 weeks ago, he had left her for a skinny influencer with thousands of followers. His last words still haunted her. "I need someone attractive, Elena. Someone people admire." Those words broke something inside her. As she walked home through the storm, tears mixed with snow on her cheeks. Then she heard something. A low sound. A groan. Elena stopped. Her heart began to beat faster. She looked around. Nothing. Then she heard it again. Weak. Painful. Coming from a dark alley near an old church. Every smart part of her mind said one thing. Walk away. But Elena was a nurse. She couldn't ignore pain. Slowly, she stepped into the alley. Snow covered the ground. Trash cans stood near broken walls. The wind howled loudly. Then she saw him. A man. He was lying in the snow. Big. Broad shoulders. Expensive black suit. Blood on his shirt. Elena gasped. Oh my God. She ran to him and dropped to her knees. His skin was freezing cold. But when she touched his neck, she felt something shocking. He was burning with fever. How is that possible? She whispered. He had a gunshot wound near his ribs. Blood had soaked through his shirt. This man was dying. Elena looked around nervously. No one. No police. No ambulance. Who was he? A criminal? A rich businessman? Dangerous? She didn't know. But she knew one thing. If she left him here, he would die. Okay, she whispered to herself. We do this together. Getting him home was almost impossible. He was huge. Tall, muscular, and heavy. But somehow, with all her strength, Elena dragged him step by step to her tiny apartment. By the time she got inside, she was shaking from exhaustion. She locked the door. Then nurse mode took over. Fast. Focused. Calm. She cut away his bloody shirt. Her breath caught. His body was covered in scars. Old knife scars. Bullet scars. And tattoos. This was no ordinary man. Elena cleaned the wound carefully. He groaned. Even unconscious, he looked dangerous. She removed the bullet. Bandaged him. Lowered his fever. Placed cold cloth on his forehead. Hours passed. Outside, the storm continued. Inside, Elena sat beside him. Watching. Waiting. At some point, she fell asleep in the chair. Morning came. Golden sunlight entered through the curtains. Elena woke suddenly. Something felt wrong. Too quiet. Her eyes moved to the bed. Empty. Her heart stopped. Empty? Where did he go? Then, a deep voice came from behind her. Who touched me? Elena froze. Slowly, she turned around. He was awake. Standing near the window. Bare chest. Bandaged ribs. Massive frame. Dark hair slightly messy. Sharp jaw. Cold gray eyes. Those eyes locked onto hers. Elena forgot how to breathe. His gaze moved over her face. Then her body. Not with disgust. Not with judgment. With intense focus. As if he were studying something precious. Elena swallowed hard. I saved you. Silence. The man took one slow step toward her. Then another. Even injured, he moved like a predator. Powerful. Deadly. Controlled. His voice dropped lower. Why? Elena blinked. Because you were dying. He stared. Long. Dangerously long. Most people made Elena feel small. But this felt different. This man was not mocking her. He was seeing her. Really seeing her. Finally he spoke. You should have left me. Elena lifted her chin. I'm a nurse. I don't leave dying people. For the first time, something changed in his expression. A tiny flicker. Interest. Almost admiration. Then. Bang. The apartment door exploded open. Elena screamed. Armed men rushed inside. All wearing black. Guns raised. Their faces were tense. One man shouted. Boss. Boss? Elena's blood ran cold. The armed men stopped when they saw him alive. Relief filled their faces. Then fear. Deep fear. They lowered their weapons instantly. One man stepped forward. Sir, we've been searching all night. The injured man never looked away from Elena. His cold eyes remained locked on hers. Then he spoke in a calm voice that somehow felt more terrifying than shouting. Lower your guns. Everyone obeyed instantly. Elena's hands shook. Who was this man? Why did armed men call him boss? Why were they terrified of him? Then one guard said the name that made the entire room feel colder. Mr. Moretti, thank God you survived. Elena's eyes widened. Moretti. Luciano Moretti. The name she had heard on the news. The most feared mafia boss in the city. Her legs nearly gave out. No. No, no, no. She had saved a mafia boss. Luciano noticed her fear. He stepped closer. Close enough for her to smell something dark and expensive on him. Bergamot. Smoke. Danger. His deep voice became almost a whisper. But somehow softer. You saved my life, Elena. She froze. I never told you my name. Luciano's lips curved slightly. That small smile was more dangerous than a gun. I know everything I need to know. Then his gaze darkened. Possessive. Unshakable. Terrifying. And his next words changed everything. You are not leaving my sight. Elena could not move. Her heart was beating so fast it hurt. Luciano Moretti, the most feared mafia boss in the city, was standing inside her tiny apartment, looking at her like she mattered. She swallowed hard. You need to leave, she said, trying to sound brave. The armed men around them looked shocked. No one talked to Luciano like that. But Luciano stayed calm. His gray eyes remained on Elena. Are you afraid of me? He asked. Elena gave a nervous laugh. You're a mafia boss. Of course I'm afraid. Luciano took one step closer. But you still saved me. Elena looked away. That doesn't mean I want trouble. Silence filled the room. Then Luciano turned toward his men. Everyone out. They froze. One guard spoke carefully. Boss, it isn't safe. Luciano's voice became cold. I said out. Within seconds, every man left the apartment. Now only Elena and Luciano remained. The silence felt heavy. Luciano sat down slowly because of his injury. Even hurt, he looked powerful. Elena, he said quietly, people usually want something from me. She crossed her arms. I want peace. For the first time, Luciano gave a small smile. It made her stomach flip. He studied her oversized sweater, loose pants, and tired eyes. You hide yourself. Elena frowned. What? You wear clothes that make you invisible. His words hit too close. She became defensive. These clothes are comfortable. Luciano's gaze softened, but only slightly. No? These clothes are armor. Elena froze. No one had ever understood that. Not even her family. She looked down. Luciano continued in a low voice. Someone taught you to believe that being seen was dangerous. Daniel. Immediately, Daniel's cruel words returned to her mind. Too big. Too soft. Not enough. Elena felt anger rise. You don't know anything about me. Luciano leaned back. Then tell me. She stared at him. Why did this dangerous man sound more gentle than anyone else in her life? Before she could answer, Luciano's phone rang. One of his men spoke from the other side. Luciano listened quietly. Then his face turned cold again. His business was calling him back. Danger was waiting. He stood. Elena stepped back automatically. So, you're leaving? Luciano looked at her like the question mattered. Yes. Relief and something strange mixed inside her. He walked toward the door, then stopped. From his pocket, he pulled out a black card. No name. No number. Just a silver symbol. He placed it in her hand. Elena looked confused. What is this? Luciano's voice dropped low. If anyone hurts you, call me. She stared at the card. I don't need a mafia boss to solve my problems. Luciano's eyes darkened. You needed one long before you met me. Then he left. Just like that. The apartment became quiet. But Elena's heart stayed restless. Days passed. Elena tried to forget him. She worked long shifts. She ignored the black card hidden in her drawer. She told herself Luciano Moretti was gone from her life. Then Friday came. The hospital charity gala. Elena hated events like this. Everyone judged everyone. But attendance was mandatory. Her friend Mia forced her to dress nicely. Mia held up a deep emerald dress. Wear this. Elena shook her head. No way. Why not? It's too tight. Mia sighed. Elena, stop hiding. Those words hurt. Still, after much arguing, Elena wore the dress. When she looked in the mirror, she almost didn't recognize herself. The emerald fabric hugged her soft curves beautifully. For once, she looked powerful. Beautiful. Alive. But the confidence vanished the moment she entered the ballroom. Because Daniel was there. With his new girlfriend. Tall. Skinny. Perfect makeup. Daniel saw Elena and smirked. Well, look who decided to dress up. His girlfriend laughed. Daniel walked closer. He looked Elena up and down. You really think a dress changes anything? Elena stayed silent. He leaned in. It doesn't matter what you wear. You're still the same desperate girl. The words cut deep. People nearby began watching. Whispers spread. Elena felt her chest tighten. Daniel smiled cruelly. Honestly, Elena, I did you a favor. No man wants. A deep voice cut through the room. Finish that sentence. Silence. Complete silence. The air changed instantly. Every conversation stopped. Every head turned. Daniel's face lost color. Elena slowly turned around. Her breath stopped. Luciano stood at the ballroom entrance. Black suit. Broad shoulders. Cold gray eyes. Power rolled off him like a storm. Rich businessmen stepped aside. Doctors froze. Even powerful people looked nervous. Luciano walked forward with calm confidence. Each step felt deliberate. Dangerous. Beautiful. He stopped beside Elena. His gaze moved to Daniel. Deadly calm. Then Luciano spoke. Funny, he said in a low voice, I was just thinking she is the most beautiful woman in this room. Gasps spread across the hall. Daniel looked shocked. Elena couldn't breathe. Luciano slowly turned toward her. His eyes softened. Then, without breaking eye contact, he placed one strong arm around her waist. Possessive. Protective. Claiming. Elena's entire body trembled. Luciano leaned close enough for only her to hear. His warm breath touched her ear. And he whispered. Did you miss me? Elena forgot how to breathe. Luciano's arm remained around her waist, warm and strong. His touch felt protective, but also dangerous. Every person in the ballroom was staring. Daniel's face turned red. What is this? He asked, trying to laugh. You know this guy? Luciano slowly looked at him. The calm in his eyes was terrifying. I know enough, Luciano said. Daniel tried to act brave. This is between me and my ex. Luciano's jaw tightened. No, he said quietly. It stopped being only between you two the moment you decided to humiliate her. Daniel swallowed. Even he could feel the danger now. Luciano pulled Elena slightly closer. His voice softened when he spoke to her. Are you okay? Elena nodded, though her heart was racing. Yes. But Luciano knew she was lying. He could see the pain in her eyes. Years of insults. Years of hiding. Years of believing cruel words. Luciano turned back to Daniel. You should leave. Daniel forced a smile. Or what? The room became silent again. Luciano stepped forward. His voice dropped into a low, deadly tone. Or tomorrow, your life will look very different. Daniel laughed, but it sounded fake. You think you scare me? Luciano's lips curved into a cold smile. Yes. That single word sent fear across Daniel's face. Daniel grabbed his girlfriend's hand and walked away, pretending not to care. But Elena noticed something. His hands were shaking. After the gala, Luciano insisted on driving Elena home. His black luxury car moved silently through the city. Inside, neither spoke for a while. Finally, Elena broke the silence. Why did you come? Luciano looked at the road. I wanted to see you. Elena stared at him. Just like that? No? He paused. I also wanted to make sure no one hurt you. Her chest tightened. No one had ever protected her like this. At her apartment, Luciano walked her to the door. Before leaving, he reached into the back seat and brought out several large boxes. Elena frowned. What's that? Dresses. Her eyes widened. What? You need clothes that show who you are. Elena crossed her arms. I'm not taking expensive gifts. Luciano stepped closer. His gray eyes held hers. They are not gifts. Then what are they? His voice became low and warm. Armor. Elena froze. Again, he saw right through her. She looked away. I don't need saving. Luciano lifted his hand slowly and gently touched her chin, making her look at him. No, he said. You need reminding. Reminding of what? His eyes softened. That you were never the problem. Her eyes burned. No one had ever said those words to her. Not like this. Days passed. Luciano began visiting often. Sometimes he brought coffee. Sometimes food. Sometimes silence. Strangely, Elena began looking forward to his visits. She learned things about him. He rarely slept. He trusted very few people. He carried darkness inside him. But with her, he became quieter. Softer. One evening, Elena wore one of the dresses he brought. A deep red velvet dress. When Luciano saw her, he stopped moving. Completely still. Elena felt nervous. What? Luciano said nothing. His gaze slowly moved over her. Not hungry. Not disrespectful. Reverent. Like she was art. Finally, he spoke. Beautiful. Elena's cheeks turned warm. She looked down. I still have flaws. Luciano stepped closer. His large hand rested gently on her waist. Men mocked what they were too weak to deserve. Elena looked up. His voice dropped lower. They called softness weakness because they feared what they could not control. Her heart pounded. Luciano leaned closer. So listen carefully, Elena. She could barely breathe. There is nothing wrong with your body. Tears filled her eyes. Years of pain cracked open. Before she could speak, a phone buzzed. Luciano's. Instantly, his expression changed. The softness disappeared. Cold danger returned. He answered. Listened. Then his face became dark. Very dark. Elena felt fear. What happened? Luciano slowly put away the phone. His jaw was tight. One of my warehouses was attacked. By who? His eyes narrowed. Someone close to me. Betrayal. Elena could hear it in his voice. Luciano moved toward the window. Every muscle in his body looked tense. Like a predator ready to strike. Elena stepped closer. Can I help? Luciano turned. For one moment, the cold mask broke. You already do. Then. Something outside caught Elena's eye. Movement. Across the street. Near the shadows. A man. Holding something metallic. Her blood ran cold. Gun. Someone was aiming at Luciano. And the shooter was not a stranger. Elena recognized him. Luciano's most trusted right-hand man. Marco. Her eyes widened in horror. She screamed. Luciano, down! Luciano, down! Elena threw herself toward him. Bang! Glass shattered. The bullet flew through the window. Luciano moved fast and pulled Elena down with him. They fell to the floor together. His arms wrapped around her body, protecting her. Another shot came. Bang! Luciano's men rushed inside within seconds. Boss. Secure the area. Find the shooter. Heavy footsteps filled the apartment. Elena's whole body shook. Luciano held her tightly. His hand moved through her hair. His voice was low. Are you hurt? Elena could barely speak. No. Luciano slowly pulled back and looked into her eyes. Fear turned into something darker on his face. Rage. Pure rage. Who was it? He asked. Elena swallowed hard. Her lips trembled. It was Marco. Silence. The room became deadly quiet. Luciano did not move. For a moment, no emotion showed on his face. Then his eyes turned cold. Ice cold. Are you certain? Elena nodded. I saw him. Luciano stood slowly. Every man around him looked nervous. One guard whispered, Boss. Luciano raised one hand. Silence. His voice became calm. Too calm. Bring Marco to me. That calm voice scared everyone more than shouting. Hours later, Luciano took Elena to one of his private safe houses. It was huge, luxurious, and heavily guarded. But Elena felt no comfort. Her mind kept replaying the gunshot. Marco had betrayed Luciano. Why? Then another thought hit her. Daniel. Her eyes widened. She remembered something. A month ago, Daniel had suddenly become rich. Expensive watch. Luxury dinners. Designer clothes. At that time she thought he was trying to impress his new girlfriend. But now? No. Her breathing became faster. Luciano noticed immediately. What is it? Elena looked at him. I think Daniel is involved. Luciano's eyes narrowed. Explain. She told him everything. Every detail. Daniel's sudden money. His secret calls. His strange behavior. When she finished, Luciano said nothing. One of his men entered with a laptop. Boss, we found financial transfers. The man turned the screen. Luciano stared. Elena's stomach dropped. Daniel's name was there. Money transfers. Large ones. Daniel had been paid. Luciano slowly closed the laptop. The air around him changed. Danger thickened. Elena had never seen someone look so terrifying. Luciano spoke in a deadly whisper. He sold information. Elena felt sick. Luciano continued. He sold me to my enemies. His jaw tightened. Then his voice dropped even lower. And he sold you for money. Tears filled Elena's eyes. How could Daniel do this? Luciano stepped toward her. His expression softened slightly. This is no longer your burden. But Elena shook her head. No. Luciano frowned. Elena. No. She looked straight at him. I want to face him. Hours later, Daniel received a phone call. A fake message. Easy money. One last meeting. He took the bait. He arrived at an empty warehouse. Dark. Cold. Silent. Then the lights turned on. Daniel froze. Luciano sat in a chair. Calm. Powerful. Terrifying. Elena stood beside him. Daniel's face turned white. Elena? His voice shook. What is this? Luciano gave a slight nod. Screens turned on around the warehouse. Daniel looked. His bank accounts. Frozen. Business accounts. Seized. Investment deals. Cancelled. News articles. Fraud investigation. Tax crimes. Money laundering. Everything. Destroyed. Daniel stumbled backward. No, no, this can't be happening. Luciano crossed one leg over the other. Calm. Controlled. Deadly. Your cards no longer work, Luciano said. Your accounts are gone. Daniel began sweating. My lawyer. Luciano interrupted. Already left. My girlfriend. Gone. My friends. Luciano's lips curved. They were never your friends. Daniel collapsed to his knees. No, please. Luciano stood. Slowly. Every step echoed through the warehouse. He stopped in front of Daniel. His voice became a lethal whisper. One question. Daniel shook violently. Luciano looked at Elena. Then back at Daniel. What was her worth? Daniel cried. I made a mistake. Luciano crouched in front of him. No. His grey eyes became merciless. You made many. Daniel looked at Elena. Begging. Crying. Elena, please, help me. For years, his words had controlled her. Broken her. Destroyed her confidence. But now? Something inside her changed. She stepped forward. Strong. Calm. No fear. Daniel stared at her. Waiting. Begging. Luciano looked at Elena. His voice softened. His fate is in your hands. The entire warehouse became silent. Every eye turned toward her. Mercy? Or revenge? Elena looked at the man who had shattered her heart. Then she opened her mouth. And what she said made everyone freeze. Elena looked at Daniel. The man who once controlled her emotions now sat on the floor, shaking with fear. Tears ran down his face. Elena, please. For years, she had imagined this moment. She had dreamed of revenge. Of making him feel the pain he gave her. But now that moment had come, she felt something unexpected. Nothing. No love. No hate. Nothing. She stepped closer. Daniel looked at her with desperate eyes. Elena, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Elena's voice was calm. No, Daniel. She shook her head. You didn't make a mistake. Daniel froze. You made choices. Her words hit him hard. You chose to insult me. You chose to shame my body. You chose money over loyalty. She took another step. This time Daniel looked smaller than ever. Weak. Broken. Pathetic. For the first time, Elena truly saw him. He had never been powerful. He only felt strong when making others feel weak. Elena spoke again. Slowly. Clearly. The cruelest revenge is not hurting you. Daniel stared. It is proving you were wrong. Silence filled the warehouse. Elena's eyes stayed locked on his. You spent years making me believe I was unworthy. Her voice became stronger. But I was never broken. She touched her chest. The broken one was you. Daniel broke down crying. No, please. Elena stepped back. I don't want his blood. She turned toward Luciano. I want him to live. Daniel's face lit with hope. But Elena finished. I want him to live with nothing. Hope disappeared. Everyone in the warehouse understood. She had chosen something worse than death. Loss. Failure. Shame. Luciano stared at her. Then slowly, pride filled his eyes. He understood. This was true strength. Not violence. Power. Luciano looked at Daniel. His voice became ice cold. You heard her. Daniel shook violently. Luciano continued. You will live. Daniel began crying harder. But everything you built is gone. Luciano leaned closer. No money. No power. No respect. No future. His gray eyes turned merciless. And every time you look in the mirror. He pointed toward Elena. You will remember the woman you were too blind to value. Daniel collapsed completely. His mind shattered. Luciano's men dragged him away. His cries slowly disappeared. The warehouse became silent. Luciano turned toward Elena. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Luciano stepped closer. His large hand gently touched her cheek. His voice became soft. You surprised me. Elena gave a small smile. In a good way. Luciano's lips curved. In every way. Weeks passed. Marco's betrayal ended badly for him. The syndicate war was over. Luciano eliminated every threat. Peace returned. For the first time in years, he could breathe. And Elena changed too. She stopped hiding. No more oversized sweaters. No more shame. No more lowering her eyes. She began seeing herself differently. The way Luciano saw her. Beautiful. Strong. Worthy. One evening, Luciano brought her to his mansion. Candles lit the halls. Soft music played. He handed her a garment bag. What is this? She asked. Open it. Inside was a stunning emerald velvet gown. The same color she wore at the gala. Elena touched the fabric. It's beautiful. Luciano's voice dropped low. Wear it. Later, Elena stood before the mirror. She almost cried. The dress hugged her curves perfectly. She looked powerful, elegant, royal. When she walked downstairs, Luciano stopped moving. His eyes darkened. He looked at her like she was the only thing in the world. "You're staring," Elena whispered. Luciano moved closer. "I cannot help it." That night, powerful Mafia families gathered in Luciano's grand hall. Bosses, millionaires, leaders. Everyone turned as Luciano entered. Elena stood beside him. Whispers spread. Then something shocking happened. Luciano stepped forward and knelt. Gasps filled the room. The most feared man in the city was kneeling for her. Luciano looked up at Elena. His grey eyes were full of raw emotion. His voice was deep and steady. "I survived bullets, betrayal, and blood." He opened a ring box. "But the woman who saved me became the only thing I cannot survive without." Tears filled Elena's eyes. Luciano continued. "You saved my life that night." His voice softened. But without knowing it, he placed his hand over his heart. "You saved my soul." He lifted the ring. "Elena Rossi." His gaze never left hers. "Will you be my queen?" Elena covered her mouth. Tears fell freely. This man had seen every broken part of her. And loved her anyway. No? Because of it. She smiled through tears. Yes. Luciano slid the ring onto her finger. The hall erupted. Applause. Cheers. But Luciano saw only her. He stood and pulled her into his arms. Safe. Loved. Cherished. Elena finally understood something. Sometimes life sends storms to destroy you. And sometimes it sends monsters. Not to hurt you, but to destroy everyone who ever did. And in the arms of the most feared man in the city, Elena finally felt fearless.